everyone, Coach Alexa here. I'm going to use some very basic baking knowledge based purely on watching episodes of the Great British Bake Off to try out an analogy with you about different training paces for running. So think about those different training paces as a tiered cake. So the bottom tier has always got to be the biggest tier really. It's the one you make first, it's the one you kind of decorate first, it's the most important foundation to that cake. Same thing with running. So your nice, gentle, conversational, low heart rate pace really is the foundation to your training, the really important bit, the bit that you want to get right first of all. And then gradually, particularly if you're new to running or you're returning to running again post-injury, you lay the groundwork at that pace and then gradually start adding a little tier on top that might get bigger, and then another tier on top of that that might gradually get bigger, representing some slightly faster training paces that you might sprinkle in for different amounts of time. The size and shape and kind of relative size of all the different layers will also vary for what event you're training for. So for longer distance events, marathons or ultras, that bottom layer is much larger, much more important part of your training. And then there's quite a jump maybe to the next layer, and by the time you get to a faster training pace, maybe 3 or 4 layers up, it's probably just a little ornament on the top, just a bit of occasional real top end speed work. It's also then worth thinking about for shorter distances events. So if you're thinking about the 5K or maybe the mile, the bottom layer will be a little bit smaller, particularly assuming that you're an experienced runner. Maybe you're going for a faster time at those events, and you'll be spending a little bit more time. Those layers that go up the speeds won't getting as narrow as quickly. They'll still be a bit sort of more sizable. So the tiered cake has less of a difference in the size between those tiers. So it's worth maybe having a think about where you're spending most of your time as a runner as well. One of the real common themes amongst runners that get in touch with me as a coach for the first time is that then when I talk to them, they're spending quite a lot of their time on the layer up from the bottom. So spending a reasonable amount of their time running there, not slow enough to be building that really, really good endurance base, but not fast enough to actually be adding any sort of speed when they get to that point where that's a useful thing for them to do. So have a little bit of a think about how many different tiers of the cake are in your running at the moment. Depend where you are on your running journey. So if you're starting out returning from injury, it's all about building that foundational big base layer for me. But then think about the different tiers of that cake that you've got on top. Have you got maybe 4 or 5 different paces that you can work at when you're running? That's a really good way to start building that speed into your running as well. I hope that's helpful. Let me know about your cake layer strategy and what you think of my analogy.